Good morning, students. We have completed packing for the journey, and today I'll be starting with a new chapter, Portia suitors. Right? I'll be discussing the question and answers of packing with the journey in my next video, and I will send a PDF of all the question and answers so that you know how to write your own answers. You'll get an idea. See, in class 8, you should understand or you should learn to write your answers. However, I will help you with that. I'll be sending the PDF in case if you're unable to write the answers in your own words, then you can very well copy, right? Okay, Portia suitors. It's a beautiful chapter. Now, I'm not sure whether you've read this chapter before by the name The Merchant of Venice. Now, this Merchant of Venice is a beautiful play. It was written by William Shakespeare, and he has written many plays, and it is just one of them. This play actually talks about a merchant who is in Venice, who is very rich, and this is just a part of it. You have the whole play in your senior classes, 9th and 10th. Here, in class 8, you just have one part of it. It's just an extract from the whole play. In your senior classes, you won't be getting the play in a story form. It will be a proper play with the dialogues and all, scenes and speeches, right? The same thing is here. They've just given you a piece of it, just one, or I should say just the half of the scene. Now here, Portia suitors means that Portia, the boys or the prince who come in here to meet Portia, right? I hope you remember the story that Portia's father, Portia was the daughter of a rich man, and when her father died, what he did on dying, he made this lottery system kind of a thing, right? Where he made three caskets, three boxes. One was of gold, the other silver, and the third one was lead. Now, these three caskets had wordings written on it, inscriptions written on it. And on the basis of the inscription, whatever the person was choosing, that suited him, right? Only the right person will choose the right casket to marry Portia. Now, the whole thing was taking place, and there's one more thing apart from that, that is, it was a kind of a test to judge a person's character. So, only the right person with the right character would be able to choose the right casket. So this is how Portia's father actually devised these three caskets, and after his death, nobody was allowed to just marry Portia, and Portia was not allowed to choose the husband whoever she likes. She'll have to go through this process of three caskets, right? Choosing the right casket thing. Now, if we look into this chapter, Portia is in her house, she is in her room, she's talking to her lady in waiting, Nerissa, and they're discussing, Portia's telling her that, see, I'm tired of this great world, I feel so tired, I'm all alone, and apart from that, I have to go through these casket system. So she's quite worried and she's tired, right? And then, Nerissa, being the lady in waiting, a kind of a friend, she's trying to, convince her that, see, your father was a very wise man. Whatever he decided for you, there has to be a reason for it. And this was the right way to judge a person's character. So she's telling, Portia that you should be happy, you're lucky that you have everything in abundance. You're not actually in a miserable condition. But you feel so. Why? Because you're bound, right? You're actually bound by your father's conditions. That's the only issue. Otherwise, everything is perfectly fine. That's what she's trying to tell her. Now, this is the chapter where I'll be reading the introduction as well for you. It is important. Please open to page 110 and see, this chapter is little different from the rest of your stories. So the best is you keep your books with you, keep your pencils with you so that you can keep marking the answers, or you just keep marking the word names, keep writing them. So it will be a kind of a help for you. Now let's continue with the Portia suitors. This scene has been taken from the play The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. We already know that. Portia is a rich young heiress from Belmont, right? So this girl, she belongs to Belmont. In order to protect her from fortune hunters. Now what her father did, in order to protect her from fortune hunters are those people who looking for money. Her father has devised a trial. So her father had made this lottery system for the men who wished to marry her. So any man who wanted to marry Portia will have to go through these cascade system. Each candidate must make a choice among the three caskets. The successful suitor will be the one who chooses the correct casket. That is the one which contains her picture. So the right casket contains Portia's picture. So the person who truly loves Portia will choose the right casket and will get Portia's portrait. That means he is eligible to marry Portia. Thus we see that although Portia is surrounded by suitors, she can neither choose nor refuse anyone. Maybe she has got boys all around, suitors all around her, but she is bound by her father's will, so she just cannot go and choose one person or reject the other person. In this scene, Nerissa describes the suitors and Portia makes fun of them, thereby showing her dislike. Okay, now, these two girls are in conversation. So Portia and Nerissa, they are together. So Nerissa, what she'll do is she'll take the name of the suitors one by one, and Portia, she has to describe them. And on the basis of her description, Nerissa will understand whether she likes the person or not. But Portia, she doesn't like any of the suitors. So whatever the thing is, she'll just keep making fun of it. Right? Okay, let's continue. Enter Portia and Nerissa. Portia, in truth, means truly. Nerissa, my little body is weary of this great world. Underline the word weary and write on it tired. In truth, Nerissa, my little body is tired of this great world. Nerissa, you would be, sweet madam, if your miseries were in the same abundance as your good fortunes are. Nerissa tells Portia, yes, you would be tired, madam, if your bad luck, your miseries, you understand? Your bad luck was in the same abundance, in the same quantity as your good fortunes are. Means you would be tired if you had miserable life. And yet, and still, for all I see, they are as sick that have too much as they that starve with nothing. So she says here that I can see that people who have everything acts as if they're sick in comparison to those who starve with nothing. The people who die of hunger. It is, therefore, better to be seated in the middle. So she says, it is therefore what is better? Not to be too rich and not to be poor. So the center part, the middle part is much better. Superfluity comes sooner by white hair. So she says here, the superfluity or the intelligence, it comes by white hair. But competency lives long. But when a person is hardworking, he lives longer. See here, superfluity means here more than enough. So she says here, understand that when you have more than enough, what happens? You get white hair. You grow old, you're not working. But when you work, you live longer. Clear? Portia, good sentences and well pronounced. So she's saying, oh, very good advice, and you're saying it in the right way. Nerissa, they would be better if well followed. So she says, yes, they would have been better. My advice would have been better if you follow my advice. Portia, if to do were as easy as to know what were good to do. So she says here, I wish it was easy to know what is good that one person should do. Don't get confused with the lines. It says, I wish it were as easy as to know what is good that we should do. Then chapels would have been churches. These small places known as chapels. Chapels are places where people get together and pray. So she says here, then these small places of prayers, chapels, would have been churches. And poor men's cottages, princes' palaces. And the cottage of a poor man would have been like princes' palaces. It is a good preacher who follows his own instructions. So she says here, when a person is preaching, right, he is a good preacher if he follows his own advice. Preachers are, I'm sure you understand, there's a difference between a teacher and a preacher. Teachers are what we are teaching you right now from the book. Preachers are the holy priests who tell you about what is written in the holy books. They preach. They give sermons and all. So she says here, the people who follow their own advice are good preachers. But this reasoning is not in the fashion to choose me a husband. She says here, but this logic is useless here. It is not helping me in choosing a husband for myself. Oh me, the word choose. So she is actually feeling pity for herself. She says, oh me, the word choose. I may neither choose who I would, nor refuse who I dislike. So she is bound by her father's will, father's wish. And what is it? That she may neither choose. She cannot choose who I would, whom she likes, and she cannot refuse whom she dislikes. So is the will of a living daughter curbed by the will of a dead father. And therefore the will of the living daughter is actually bound by the will of a dead father. Understood till here? We'll continue. Nerissa, your father was a virtuous man, and holy men at their deathbed have good inspirations. So she says here, see, your father was a man of virtue, a man with good qualities. And such holy men, when they are on their deathbed, they actually tend to get good inspirations, good advices. Therefore, the lottery, and that is the result of it. Lottery system, your father decided it. He must have got inspired. And therefore, the lottery that has been devised in these three chests of gold, silver, and lead, where the one who chooses correctly chooses you. So where the person, if he chooses the right casket, he chooses you. You means Portia. There is no doubt that it will never be chosen by anyone but one who shall rightly love. So she says here, there's no doubt with this lottery system. I'm sure whoever chooses the right casket, who truly loves you, will be the only person who chooses the right casket. But what warmth is there in your affection towards any of these princely suitors that are already here? So she says here, but what kind of feelings do you have for these suitors who are already sitting here? So she just wanted to know whether Portia likes any of the suitors who are already here. So how many suitors were sitting there? Somewhat around 5 or 6. So they are already sitting there. Now Nerissa will take their names one by one. And Portia, what she has to do, she just has to express her feelings for them, whether she likes them, whether she hates them, right? So let's do it. Okay, I pray you. Here Portia says, I pray you. That means I request you. Name them. I want you to take their names, and as you namest them, and as you take their name, I will describe them. I will describe each one of them. And according to my description, you may level my affection. And according to my description, whatever description I'm giving it to you, you can actually understand or level how much I love them. Or like them. I'm sorry, not love here. Like them. Nerissa. First, there is the Neapolitan prince. So he's the first suitor that you have to learn. The first one was Neapolitan prince. Okay. Portia. A means yes in their language. Yes. He's a colt. Colt means a young horse. Indeed means surely. For he does nothing. Because he does nothing but talk of his horses. You can write on it. It will be easier for you to remember. Yes, he's a young horse, surely, because he does nothing but talk of his horses. And he makes it a great point in his own favor that he can shoe his own horse. So she says he actually, feels it very great that he is the one who can shoe his own horse. His own horse means, he can, I hope you know the iron shoe, horseshoes. He can actually put that. He knows how to get his horses wear those shoes. Nerissa. I hope you've understood this first person, Neapolitan prince. The problem with him was he used to talk a lot about his horses, and because of that, Portia, she actually hated him. Apart from that, there was another point he was very proud of, that he can shoe his own horse, right? He can actually shoe his own horse. Nerissa. Then there is the County Palatine. So there's another person now, number 2. Remember, if you want, you can just use your pencils and write in front of it, write the number, so it will be easy for you to remember. So the first one was Neapolitan prince. The second is the County Palatine. So she says here, Portia, he does nothing but frown. Means he's always sad. He never smiles. He does nothing but frown, as one would say. And it seems as if he's saying, what is he trying to say? If you will not have me, you may choose anyone you like. So she says, from his expression, I feel as if he's trying to tell me, if you do not like me, I have no problem. Choose anyone you like. I don't care. He hears merry tales, means he hears happy stories and smiles not. So Portia is surprised that he hears happy and funny stories, but he never smiles. I fear he will prove to be a weeping philosopher when he grows old. So she says, I feel, I'm scared that this person who never smiles will be like a weeping philosopher. Weeping means the person who is always crying and cribbing. Philosopher, he has got his own words, his own world, another world. So she feels that this person who is not at all happy right now, he'll turn into a weeping philosopher. He'll always be cribbing and crying over things. Being so full of unmannerly sadness in his youth. Why? Because he's so full of sadness in his young age. Imagine what will happen when he'll grow old. I would rather be married to a death's head with a bone in his mouth than to either of these. God, defend me from these two. So she says here, I would rather marry a skull. Skull with a bone in his mouth means the danger sign. You must have seen the skull and all. So she says here, I would rather marry a skull than marry any of these two suitors. Right? She says here then, God please save me from these two. Now the first one was Neapolitan Prince and the second one is County Palatine. These two. So she would rather marry a skull than marrying these two suitors. Remember till here, the rest I'll continue in my another speech, another video, I'm sorry. But just do one thing. Go through it, read it. The way I'm reading it, in the same manner, you'll have to mark every line, keep writing word meanings, then only you will understand it. If you have any doubt anywhere, you can very well pause the video, just go back and watch it again and write the meaning. See, it's for your good. It is little bit difficult, but not that difficult. It is easy to understand. Okay, so just go through it once. Okay, the rest I'll discuss in the next video. Thank you.